For the first time this season, we're preparing to go test without having to leave the state. The weather here in Ohio this spring has been very wet, and it's been a struggle to get crops planted or any test hits in, even though we've got a decent test spot right up the street. Dry days have been few and far between, but when you see the local farmers cutting hay, it's a pretty good indicator we're going to have some decent weather, at least for the next couple of days. And our local track could sure use it. They've already had to cancel a couple of tests and tunes because of the weather. So needless to say, I'm really happy that I'm going to finally get to test locally this weekend. So what I'm hoping to do is take the Malibu down there today and try and get a tune up to get it to leave the starting line without kicking the tires on the first kit. Just trying to figure out my delay time and my ramp time and all that. Just work specifically on the first kit and the 60 foot. I'd like to get the 60 foot down into the low 130s if possible, and I'm pretty sure I can do that, but I just need to figure out my timing and my shock settings, my tire pressures and all that. At first, it looked like the car count was going to be light enough where I would get as many test hits as I needed. Knowing that this was the first weekend the track's going to be open, the starting line may not be as good as it could be. However, as we pulled into the track and began to set up our pit area, I noticed that the cars and trailers continued to flow through the front gate. So this is kind of a double-edged sword. The more cars that go down the track, the better the track's going to get. However, it also means that I might not get as many passes in to dial in my first stage of nitrous. All right, so I'm about to make my first hit. I've got a tune-up in the controller. It's pretty spicy for the first stage. If it takes it, I'm going to be really, really happy. The kids are talking about maybe staying here and racing this weekend, so if I get this thing dialed in on the first stage, I may just kind of go into bracket mode, stay here and race with the kids this weekend. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Although the tune-up in the controller is hot, my tires are set at a modest 16 PSI for a radial. The Malibu made a good lick, but it did chatter the tires a little bit as it left the starting line. But I'd much rather go A to B on my first pass and get one solid time slip to make improvements on. All right, so not too bad. My light was terrible. I haven't bracket raced in a while, and this thing off the foot brake is a little sluggish, but 140 60 foot, and it spun the tire a little bit when it left. I felt it shudder the tires. Went 635 at 107 to the eighth, 1004 at 132, 131.90, so 132 in the quarter on just the first kit, 150 horse. So that's not too bad. I would have liked to see it get into the 1360 foots. And it was right there. It probably would have gone 137, 138 had it not spun the tires a little bit. So not too far off. I'm pretty excited about that last run because that car is legal to 10.0, and now I know exactly how fast I can go on one stage. It'll run right on what the car is legal to run at, on just one kit. So pretty excited about that. Like if I want to go to sick week or something like that and run 10.0 index, it's right there. It's also right there for Bowling Green next weekend if I want to take it down there. So I'm definitely excited about that. All good news so far today except for the weather. We're getting some raindrops, so hopefully it passes on by, but it's looking pretty nasty out there to the west. Well, we were just sitting in there going over the video. I'm thinking I'm going to put a couple more pounds of air in the rear tires. Now it's raining, so might not be any more hits tonight. It's hard to tell. We'll see what the weather does. It took about an hour and 20 minutes before the rain clouds started to move back out and the cars in the staging lane started to roll back in. At this point, I definitely realized I'm not going to get as many test hits in tonight as I previously thought. So I figure I'm going to make this next one really count.
All right, I got the bottle warmer on. We got a fresh bottle in it. We'll try it one more time.
I fired the Malibu up, drove up to the staging lanes, and let it idle with the bottle warmer, warming the bottle in the trunk. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I had no intentions of turning both kits on tonight at the track. However, it looks like this next pass may be the last pass that I'll get to make tonight. So I decided to get into the nitrous controller and make a few changes.
All right, so I'm in the staging lanes, getting ready to make a pass here. I got both kits turned on. I don't think it's going to make it to the quarter on both kits, so once I get down there and it starts getting close to rev limiter, I'll probably just reach down, turn the nitrous off, and run it through the quarter on the motor. But I want to see what it'll go to the eighth.
I left the bottle warmer on until the bottle came up over 1,000 PSI and prepared myself to make that 1-2 shift before the 60 foot. The tires were only set at 17 psi cold, so I did a little hotter burnout to try and bring the tire pressures up before I staged the car.
Coasted to a 990. That was a good hit. Hey, I'll bet he got a 5 on that. It left good. Why do you think he let off early? He's probably worried about running out of gear. He went 10-0 earlier on the first kit, running it all the way out, so you know that was on 2. Yeah.
The kids had me figured out. However, I let off at the 8th mile because the car has a vibration in the drivetrain, and I don't really know what it is.
How'd that look?
It looked good.
135, 60 foot. 595 at 116 to the 8th, Kenny Powers. We finally did it. Finally. Dude, it's been 2 years fighting this freaking nitrous kit and wiring, and it feels so good, man. 595, 116, and it's got more in it. I let off and went 993 at 105 at a quarter. I let off at the 8th. Yep. Finally, I got what I was looking for.
We set a blower underneath the hood to cool it off so I could pull some plugs and check them, but then I got a phone call from Miss Vicki. She had stopped down to the track with Wyatt to watch. She had also taken everyone's food order so she could go pick up dinner for everybody who was with us at the track. But on her way back, the Suburban broke down. Vicki told me over the phone that it lost power steering, so she drove it into an Advanced Auto Parts parking lot and placed a call for help.
A damsel in distress.
I need rescued, please.
I wonder if it's out of power steering fluid or...
I don't know. It's had power steering issues forever.
It went out on Kenny at War in the Woods once.
Yep. And this is that pump. We haven't replaced it since then, but that's been a couple years. I barely got it in the parking lot.
I was worried the belt came off, but the belt's still on there, so... Well, there's no fluid in it.
We'll run in and buy some fluid and see if that fixes it.
So I went in the store and paid $10 for the cheapest quart of transmission fluid I could find and dumped it in. I figure if this'll fix it, I'll drive the Suburban home and let Vicki drive the Malibu. I hopped in it, fired it up, grabbed the steering wheel, and realized there would be no power steering from the Suburban tonight. But we unloaded all the food out of the Suburban and stuck it in the back seat of the Malibu and transformed my high 5-second 8th mile daily driver into a high 5-second Uber Eats vehicle. We managed to get back to the track right about sunset, and most of the food was still fairly warm. Vicki figured out how to use the microwave and warm up whatever needed to be heated. By the time we got done with dinner, the night had been called and the test and tune was over.
All right, guys, it's Saturday. I'm out here in the shop. We're getting ready to get our day started. Follow along very closely. You're going to get lost here in the next couple of minutes if you're not paying close attention. The little dump truck, I need to get it back up and running because Billy's turning the shop over in Newark to Mike Lane Fabrication. And he's got a whole bunch of shit down there that needs to come out of that shop, probably going to scrap. I don't know. We'll see. But he needs my dump truck. I need my dump truck for many different things that I've got going on. And we bought headers and header mufflers to put on the dump truck, but they won't clear the PTO pump or the starter. So I need a stock manifold exhaust system to put on my dump truck that goes outside the frame. And I have one, but it's on Vicki's C10. Now Vicki's C10, I've been wanting to put headers on and header mufflers, I guess. I can do that. But Vicki's C10 engine has a rear main seal that's leaking profusely. So it needs to come out. And then I've got Uncle Bob's Nova coming down here today, and Bob wants us to go ahead and put the engine, or not the engine, but the transmission converter rear end in it and get it ready so he can go to Bowtie Nationals in a few weeks. But he would really like to put an engine in it that runs a little bit better than the stock 307. So I told Bob, since I'm tearing all this stuff apart, how about this? How about we take the engine out of the C10, put a new rear main seal in it, clean it up, paint it, put it in your Nova, take your stock 307 out of the Nova, put in a C10, take the exhaust system off the C10, put it on my dump truck, and put the dump truck's header mufflers and headers on the C10. Are you still with me? Are you following along? Oh, and we got to get this transmission down to Lonnie at Extreme Automatics for the Biscayne that's sitting out here, and I got to get a drive shaft made for it. So the next couple of weeks are going to be really busy here at the shop, and I do have one other little tidbit for you that I haven't told you yet. Although I'm really happy with the Malibu, the way it runs right now. It's the best it's ever been, there's no question. I really want to take that car to Six Smokies this fall down in Tennessee. The problem is the Malibu runs on E85, and there's likely not going to be E85 available everywhere we need to go. So we're going to put that 400 out of the C10 in Bob's Nova for right now. And then when Bob's 427 pump gas engine's done, we're going to take the 400 out, put Bob's new 427 in, and then I'm going to leave the 400 at the machine shop so that we can put a different camshaft in it, maybe a different set of cylinder heads, and build me a nice pump gas engine to put in my Malibu out of the 400, out of the C10. Now, keep in mind that the engine that's in my Malibu right now is not mine. That's Tommy's engine out of his S10. I don't know what Tommy plans on doing with that, but my original engine out of the Malibu is still at the machine shop. It was a 421. If Bob's pump gas 427 runs as good as I think it's going to, then I plan on building almost an identical engine for my Malibu. We may make some changes here and there. Bob's going to be kind of the guinea pig, but Bob's got a really, really nice combination he's putting together with the help of Eric Weingartner, and he's got some really nice heads, and I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. But Bob's 427 he's putting in his Nova is going to be pretty lively. And if it runs as good as I think it's going to, then I'm probably just going to build me a pump gas engine for my Malibu so that I can take that thing anywhere I want to go anytime.
Now, Bob's already gotten a pretty good start on his 427. The block's done, the pistons are here, he's already calculated the bob weight, and he's got the crankshaft balanced. He's still waiting on a camshaft and the set of cylinder heads from Eric Weingartner. Once we get all the pieces put together at the machine shop, Bob plans on putting it on the dyno so we can get some idea of how much power it'll make before we put it down in his pristine 23,000 original mile 73.
How's it running?
Runs great.
Good.
Runs great.
So I've just got done explaining to everybody the plan that we have here.
But I may throw a wrench in that plan. Possibility I could have you that 427 on Friday.
Are you shitting me? You've got all your parts? Did everything come in?
Well, I talked to Eric, and the last set of heads are coming here the first of the week.
Okay.
So.
The thing about that is the exhaust system on that car and that 427 are not going to get along.
You know, we're trying to. It needs to be run slower anyway because no roll cage. So.
Oh, that's true.
You know, what it runs is what it runs. We know that we're not getting the most out of it until we go down the road a ways.
Yeah. All right, well, whatever. I don't care, whatever. But that engine's still got to come out of that C10 for what I got planned.
And you're welcome to have that 307 for the truck if you want it.
All right, yeah, that sounds good.
You know, I don't have a need for it.
Once Bob dropped off his car at my house, I loaded him up in the El Camino to take him home. Now, Bob's not only building a brand new 427 for his Nova, he's also freshening up a 415 for his Camaro. He's actually purchased 2 sets of cylinder heads off Eric, and this particular set has an over 250cc intake runner. While we were standing there, Bob brought up Eric's channel on his television, and we watched one of Eric's latest videos.
This set of heads right here are very special because if you've been following Bob McVeigh's posts on Facebook or been watching Old Man's Garage, he's been talking about this Nova that he has, Bob does, that red one. They're building a new engine, and these are the heads that are actually going on it. 2 125 intake valve and a 1.575 exhaust valve. You have to shrink down the exhaust valve because of the bigger intake valve.
This set of heads that Eric is sending out to Bob flow over 330 CFM. Bob plans to use these cylinder heads along with a custom hydraulic roller camshaft with our sights set on approximately 600 horsepower, naturally aspirated. If these cylinder heads and the intake that Eric sends out to Bob work as well as we hope, I'm probably going to build an identical engine for my Malibu out of my original 421. But between now and then, Bob and I plan to use the 400 out of Vicky's C10 so Bob can make the Bowtie Nationals at Norwalk and then potentially be in my Malibu for Six Smokies later this fall.
Well, KP,
Successful day.
successful weekend.
We got 2 motors pulled and transmission getting ready to go.
So we got the transmission loaded up in the El Camino. I'm going to take it down to Lonnie tomorrow. And when you get here tomorrow, you and Billy can load up his big block and the small block out of the C10 and run them up to Bob's. Now, Billy's is more important right now because he's trying to get ready to go race this weekend. So Bob's going to try and figure out where in the hell all that oil's coming from, that it's burning the number 2 cylinder.
Yeah, so get it on the dyno first.
Yeah. And then once you guys get back, I guess we need to go pick up the Suburban that's broke down in Pickerington. We still got to go grab that. And then tomorrow I got to move Chumpy's 55 Chevy. It's in the storage unit down there in Newark, and we've got to take it and deliver it to his new storage area, wherever that is. I don't know where he's taking it, but we got to move it. And that C10 that's down there in storage, I got to get it out of there too. I got to bring it back here. That 2-tone blue Chevy pickup, it's sitting down there.
The next morning, I was headed towards Cincinnati in the El Camino with the 204R 2-piece transmission out of the Biscayne in the bed. Thankfully, Lonnie down at Extreme Automatics is willing to help me out.
Well, Lonnie, I've got a problem here.
Yeah, you definitely have a problem.
I have a 2-piece 204R, and I am in desperate need of a 1-piece 204R.
It actually looks like it just got the case.
I hope so.
Usually it blows the back of the transmission off, so it didn't this time. That's actually good.
Well, I was as gentle as I could be slowing it down, but it came apart in grand fashion.
I actually watched the video.
It scared the shit out of me.
I watched the video and it was pretty loud. It sounded like something exploded.
It did explode. Like, I really thought that I blew the engine up, because I was spraying it for the first time. I thought the engine let go, and then, I looked down and the oil pressure was still up and it wasn't overheating. And I stopped. I went to put it in gear, and then the car tried to roll away. I was like, oh, I know what happened.
I actually didn't know what happened. I knew it was a pretty loud bang, and I thought, man, what in the world was that? Until you was holding the drive shaft. I didn't know if it was a rear end, if the transmission fell out in the street. I really didn't know.
Well, this guy's already won the car, and he's waiting on me to put it back together. So I'm going to drop this thing off here to you today so you can work your magic. You've already got another case for it?
I've already got it ready to go. All I got
really?
to do is just swap the internals.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So we should be able to do it pretty quick.
Well, I really appreciate it, man. I'm sorry it's still got fluid in it. Usually I just pump the fluid out of them because there's no drain plug.
Yeah, there's no drain. It's not a problem. We put it in the vise and I'll drain it.
All right, well, the condition that it's in, I didn't want Kenny to start it up and pump the fluid out of it.
No.
Usually I pull a cooler line off and just put it in a drum or a bucket or something just to get the fluid out. But
you can do that too.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to try and do that in the condition it's in.
It's not a problem, man. I've seen it worse. This is actually the best case scenario. Usually it blows the whole back of the transmission off, and from here back is laying out, and then the guts are laying all over the place. So this is to tear one up. This is the best way to do it.
All right, well, congratulations to me, I guess. So you're going to put a new case in it, dyno?
Yeah, dyno it. It'll be just like it was when you had it before.
All right, man.
It'll be the same thing, just in a new case. You won't even know the difference. It'll look just like it did when we first brought it up.
I really appreciate it. Well, this time I won't tear it up. I'm going to put it back in the car, put a bigger drive shaft in it, and call this guy from Tennessee and say, hey,
go get your car.
Come get your car. I know he's really excited.
Yes.
And I'm really excited to see the reaction on his face when he drives it, because it drives so nice with this transmission.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. It's a nice, he's getting a really nice car.
While I was making the 100-mile trek back from Cincinnati, Kenny had taken my truck and the open trailer into Pickerington to load up Vicky's Suburban and bring it home. By the time I got back, he and Billy had already started swapping out the rear center section in Billy's S10. Once we finished up in the shop, we got some dinner, but our day was far from over. Monsoon season is returning to Central Ohio, and according to the weather forecast, this is our last nice evening without rain for a week. And so Kenny and I want to get Mark's 55 Chevy moved while the weather's nice. We also would like to use this trailer before the winter comes and picks it up. So it's going to be a late night for me and Kenny. We made it down to the storage unit just in time to get the car loaded before the sun went down. Although the storage facility is lit up pretty well, and the trailer lights make it really easy loading cars at night.
I'm really going to miss this trailer. We need one of these.
Once we had Mark's 55 loaded and tied down, Kenny and I headed out of Newark, headed east towards Cambridge. Now, some of you may remember that Mark's store in Buckeye Lake that we frequent used to be a CarQuest store, but Mark actually had 2 CarQuest stores, with the other store being in Cambridge. That store in Cambridge actually closed when he bought the Napa in downtown. And so the old CarQuest store is sitting empty, which makes it a perfect spot to store Mark's 55. Well, there you go, Hot Rod.
Nice. Sounds good.
It does sound good.
It does.
It runs even better.
I thought we were going to do a little burnout in here. We could,
No,
huh?
I'm not.
We could do that.
I wanted it out of the way of that door in case you got more shit coming and going out of here. I don't want somebody scratching the car trying to get those skids or something out of here.
Yeah, there shouldn't be too much traffic. We're about out, so.
You let me know. I got some stuff I can bring down here and shove in your storage.
Bring it on. We can make it happen.
Well, I was wanting to get that alternator bracket fixed before I gave it back to you, but we kind of run out of time. I'm so damn busy with everything else.
Oh yeah, no, we're good. I can work on it now here. So.
Plus, I think you need to get your hip done before you drive it too much.
I do. Yep. I definitely got to do that. So, yeah, no, that's awesome. It's kind of nice to have it back here. So, it's all good.
All right, guys, it's Tuesday morning, and I'm out here in the shop working on the Malibu a little bit. We didn't get home till like 1:30, almost 2 in the morning last night, so Kenny stayed the night here. He's still in bed. He's pretty tired. I'm out here in the shop. I got the drive shaft pulled out of my Malibu because it's had an ongoing vibration that we've noticed, I don't know, for the last month or two. And it seems to be getting worse, and especially after I made that 590 pass, I'm starting to really get concerned about what's going on. So I got the drive shaft pulled out of it here. Both the U-joints and everything look really good. They feel good. But just as a precautionary measure, I want to take it down to Super Duty and have them put it on the balancing machine and spin it and just make sure it's okay. With all the trouble we've been having lately with drive shafts, I'm a little bit gun shy about the drive shaft in my Malibu. It was originally built down at Super Duty when the car only ran 1150s, so it was built out of standard 3-inch welded seam tubing. But since then, we've stepped the horsepower and the nitrous up on the car substantially. So the first thing I wanted to do was get Justin to chuck it up on the lathe and spin it to see if the drive shaft has been damaged in any way. Although the drive shaft checked out 100% okay, when you slow the video footage down, you can clearly see there's some run out in the center of the shaft. So I decided to be safe and have the standard welded seam tubing cut out and replace it with 3-inch DOM. Now the term DOM stands for drawn over mandrel. This style of tubing is made from billet steel ingots that are then cut, drilled, and reformed using mandrel bars. This process of creating tubing is much more expensive, but creates much stronger tubing, which is exactly what I'm looking for my Malibu. And evidently, I'm not the only one. What are you doing here?
We're getting a lesson on critical speed.
I think we all deserve a lesson on critical speed. So you were saying the U-joints are only rated for 5,000 RPM.
1350 U-joint is like, if you look it up, it's like 5,000. Now we're running solid U-joints, which are going to make them, make that a lot better. And then you're running DOM tubing, which is supposed to be 2 or 3 times better than what you're looking at on a chart that shows you critical speed.
Yeah.
So
mine was welded seam, so we're replacing mine right at this very second.
put DOM. That's the way to go. It's a lot more expensive, but it's definitely the way to go.
My new drive shaft is 65 3/4 inches long. My last one was 58.
So DOM means, or stands for, drawn over mandrel.
Right.
So it's never been welded. It's one single piece of tubing.
Exactly. And they tell me that it's 2 to 3 times stronger than a seamed tube. We've really started using them a lot last, 6, 7, 8 years. Anything that normally gets up above about 800 horsepower, that's what we go to. And then you normally use a 3-inch. Anything below 50 inches, anything above 50 inches, we try to go to a 3.5.
Yeah.
And then we always run solid joints.
Yeah.
Because they're not hollow. That
Right.
makes them a lot stronger also.
Right. So you got Tommy's over here. You're getting ready to start on it.
Want to do it too?
And we just swapped mine out from a regular tube
To the DOM.
to DOM.
Yeah, you're getting up there. You say you're going to be getting 1,000 horse. We need to
Well,
be
you know.
close to it or whatever it is.
BJ down at Super Duty Truck Parts in Newark has been building my drive shafts for over 30 years. Today he's working on Tommy's drive shaft while Justin took care of mine. He cut off and re-welded my old yokes onto the new DOM tubing, and it only took 3 grams of weight to balance it. Over the past 5 years, BJ has taught Justin everything he knows, and he takes a lot of pride in his work.
There you are, sir.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you, Justin.
Absolutely. Have a good one, buddy.
I loaded up my new drive shaft in the back of the El Camino and headed back towards the house to install it in the Malibu. Although I'm sure there's a little bit of ET left on the table with the Malibu, I don't really plan on trying to push the car much harder than 570s. Obviously, the car isn't legal to go that fast anyway. I built this car to be my daily driver throughout the summer, which is why the car still retains its functional wipers and air conditioning and full factory interior. Kenny and I decided to use our test drive with the drive shaft to go down to the storage unit to get my dad's 2-ton blue Chevy pickup truck moved out. We figured while we were down there we would load up some of the stuff that we need to bring home, and then I followed Kenny home in the pickup. All right, everybody, so good news, bad news. The good news is the drive shaft, perfect. It fit perfect. It is perfect. And the bad news is I still got a little bit of a vibration in the car. So after we got back, we had the car jacked up, and we took the angle finder to the pinion and the drive shaft to check the driveline angle. And Billy said everything looked perfect that way. There's nothing wrong there. So then we jacked the car up on the lift, and I sat in the car with the car running and spun the rear wheels, and it looked like the wheels were bent. And just to make sure it wasn't something else, we pulled the wheels and checked the brake hats, and without the wheels on, the hats and everything, the rotors spin perfect. But somehow, I don't know whether I've hit some potholes or something and somehow bent the wheels on the back of this car, but both the rear wheels are bent, and that's what the vibration was in the back. So I've either got to find some place that can repair these rear wheels and straighten them, or I'm going to have to replace them. For right now, we went ahead and swapped the rear wheels with the Monte Carlo because they're the exact identical wheels, same offset, everything is what's on the Malibu. So I've got a good set of straight wheels on the back of it now. However, I'm going to have to get some tires if I decide to go someplace this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, I had planned on going to Michigan for the Drop the Hammer drag and drive event that Steve Morris is putting on. And I didn't realize when I told Steve I would come up there, I had also told Tom Bailey that I would go to Sick on the Green. I didn't realize they were the same date. So obviously I can't be in 2 places at one time, so I'm going to have to pick one or the other. And I honestly haven't chosen either one of them yet because I'm watching the weather radar. Now, the last I saw, the weather is looking better in Michigan than it is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. However, the weather leading up to the event that the kids are going to this weekend isn't looking good, and so the kids may decide to go somewhere else. And if they go somewhere else, they're likely going to go to Sick on the Green at Bowling Green because Jimmy Dale's throwing the $10,000 to win Little Gangsters deal, free entry. And Billy and Tommy could both run either, the S10 and the Falcon in that free entry for 10 grand to win. And they've got a pretty good opportunity to do that if they so choose. And so if they decide to do that, then I will likely go with them to Bowling Green. But we haven't made that decision yet. We're still watching the weather. It's still up in the air. Moving on, let's see. Tomorrow I plan on going up to the machine shop, and Bob has the 400 small block out of the C10 ready to go on the dyno. He has replaced the rear main seal in it, replaced the pan gasket, and when I put that engine together, I advanced the cam timing for towing in the C10, and I told Bob I would turn that back because I advanced the cam 4 degrees, and I told Bob, I said, I think it'd run better in the car at 0. So Bob went ahead and degreed the camshaft in it. And according to Bob, he's got it ready to dyno tomorrow. And I've got the carburetor off Bob's Nova sitting over here on the bench. I'm going to take it with me and use it to dyno that engine tomorrow on pump gas. So I'm pretty interested to see what that thing does. I know before, I think it made 400 horsepower and 530 foot-pounds of torque on the dynos, something like that. That was with the camshaft advanced. So it's going to be interesting to see what it makes and see how quick it does go in Bob's Nova the way it is. Bob and I are super excited to get started on his 427 pump gas engine. If you haven't yet watched the video about those cylinder heads, you can go to Eric Weingartner Racing on YouTube, and I think it's his last video that he put up. It should be pretty easy to find it, but he's got a video up on there and explains everything about this set of heads that he is shipping out to Bob this week, I think, for his 427. And then he's also got another set of heads. One set uses shaft rockers that are offset and the other set does not. But we'll get into all that later. But you can go to Eric Weingartner's channel and watch his latest video, and he goes into great detail about these heads. 250cc intake runners. They flow over 330 CFM, and they're a standard 23-degree head. Pretty interesting. I'm really excited. Like I said, we're going to use that 400 out of the C10 as a dyno mule, a little test mule, or a pump gas test mule for a little while. If this 427 that Bob builds runs as good as I think it will, or is capable of, then I'm just going to turn my 421 that originally came out of the Malibu into a 427 pump gas engine as well. Actually, it would be a 434 because mine is already 30 over. So, but yeah, we're really looking forward to the pump gas stuff because we can take pump gas engines anywhere and drive them anywhere we want to go. We don't have to worry about chasing E85 stations. Speaking of chasing E85 stations, Vicki and I and Billy and the kids are planning out a little bit of a cruise route for here in Ohio. As I mentioned in my last video, we've started a sweepstakes for viewers to potentially get to come out here and spend a weekend with us, take a tour of the shop and the history and everything that is Street Racing Channel and the Old Man's Garage and Gen 2 Garage. Get to meet all the people that you see on the channel, you know, Uncle Terry, Uncle Bob, Uncle Mark down at the parts store. And we're going to do a cruise that is open to the general public, but obviously whoever wins the giveaway will be welcome to cruise with us in one of the cars, or, you know, just depends on the weather. Maybe they might want to bring their own car, but obviously it's going to depend on who wins and how far away they are and the weather that week. And, you know, we got to plan everything out once we figure out who wins. So I can't do too much pre-planning until we figure out who wins the deal, but whoever wins is going to get an opportunity to come out here and hang out with us. So if you are interested in that, get online and go to the oldmansgarage.shop for all the details. And there's a whole bunch of new merch coming up, kind of tailored towards 4th of July. Streetcars and freedom is what I call it. I've always been big on streetcars. I've always loved streetcars. Race cars are fine, but there ain't nothing like having a good streetcar. So Streetcars and Freedom Month coming up in July. I hope everybody has a good time with this, and good luck to everybody. I think it's going to be a really cool deal for somebody who gets to come out and spend a weekend with us and hang out.
Nitrous to do a 990. That was a good hit. first kit running it all the way out, so you know that was on 2.